Sezno. This is the best time in history to be a music fan. Like, it's not even close. In some ways, this is obvious, but I think it's so obvious to the point where we take it for granted. I feel like we should think about this more often. I intend this video to advocate and validate anybody's love for music, their appreciation and curiosity for music, because really, we're so lucky and we're so privileged and we deserve to indulge that. To be honest, there's no excuse for anybody to not make use of the resources of our time for the good of their love of music. We definitely take our resources for granted today. Not just in music, like our resources in everything that technology affords us. The many conveniences and the many entertainments that are just another part of our busy modern lives, but they would be completely mind-blowing to every previous century of human beings. Our ability to indulge our love of music is one of those things. To start a little ways back in history, obviously streaming services are a recent invention. The internet is a recent invention. Prior to the internet, you had to be a lot more clever to learn about music that was unfamiliar to you. Like, depending on where you lived, you might not have had access to records of a certain artist, or even of a whole style. It was more of an ordeal for you to find information. If an artist was referred to that you hadn't heard of, you couldn't just do a quick Google search on them. You might spend years hunting down an album or a song just so that you could hear it. You also generally were required to invest more financially. Not to say that people don't do this today, but without the resources to explore music for free or for cheap, you'd save up money every week to buy that new record. I know that I'm like betraying my youth. There are some people who watch my videos who remember that reality very well, but for a lot of viewers, myself included, that was never a reality for us when engaging with music. The internet was how I learned about everything. My understanding of music is unquestionably way different if I never had the internet. But I want to demonstrate how truly spoiled we are by going even further back. Let's consider that recorded music itself, recorded audio, is a relatively recent innovation. The phonograph, the earliest sound recording apparatus, is not even 150 years old. Consider what that means for the whole history of music. Prior to that point, which was not even that long ago, music didn't exist in a tangible form that could be played back. A sound truly happened the one time in real life and then disappeared forever. The concept of recorded audio didn't exist for Mozart, didn't exist for Beethoven. This is ubiquitous with our understanding of music now, but for most of human history, music was entirely experienced live. You couldn't experience music unless it was happening right in front of you, or you played it yourself. And the best that you could reasonably do to preserve a piece of music, to reproduce it later, would be to write it down. We don't understand how spoiled we are. How normal of a thing it would be to be alive a couple centuries ago and go an easy couple of days without hearing any music. Imagine yearning for the ability to hear music. Oh, it hath been so long since I've been able to listen to music. The struggle now would be to go out in public for a day and successfully avoid hearing any music. Say you're a person who loves music in Beethoven's day. This would be like late 1700s, early 1800s. How lucky would you have to be for you back then to hear a symphony by Beethoven at some point in your life? You would most likely have to be wealthy, well-connected, well-educated for you to know who Beethoven even was, for you to appreciate what he was doing. Frankly, for you to be allowed into the room where his music was being played. And all of that is under the assumption that you even live anywhere near a city where it's being played, which at that point, not in the Americas, not anywhere in Asia or Africa. Beethoven never did an Australian tour, not even in a great deal of Europe. But say by some incredible stroke of fortune, you were lucky enough to have heard a Beethoven symphony in his day. You very likely only got to hear it that one time in your life. I mean, think about it. What, you think an orchestra is going to be in town every week to play that same piece? What, are you wealthy enough to hire a huge orchestra to play it for you whenever it strikes you? Do you know how many trained, talented people that would require? The sheer amount of human energy it would take for anybody to hear it any one time? And even if you did hear it again, it's not like you're hearing the same version every time. With a piece by Beethoven, there is no such thing as a studio version or an album version. These days, we want to hear a song, we just put it on. It's the same version every time. But with Beethoven, you would get a different interpretation of the piece every time. What I think this means is that our access to music today has kind of blurred the sanctity of music. I feel like a person alive a few centuries ago felt this more acutely than we do. Sanctity is a big word, but you would pay attention to something differently if you knew that you very well might only experience it the one time, and that music was not a guaranteed thing every day. Now we're like drowning in it. We fill every moment with it. This is not a bad thing because music is one of the joys of our species, but this has changed our relationship to it. Bro, it would be ridiculous to somebody back then that I could go on Spotify and listen to 100 different recordings of Beethoven's Ninth and speed through to wherever I want or start it over as many times as I want. They would think that's alien shit. To them, that would be some like fifth dimension type technology. We don't understand how good we have it. We've never learned to live without that. For that reason, I think there's no excuse to not be curious and exploratory with your taste in music, because there's so much less effort required on our part to learn about something. It doesn't cost us anywhere near as much to give something a shot. You can listen to an album 1,000 times and never pay for it. You could learn the whole backstory of an artist from a little Google search. You can listen to music from anywhere in the world without ever leaving your house, without needing to speak to anyone. I mean, think of the sheer number of music lovers of the past who would be envious of our situation. We are privileged that we can hear anything we want. And really, we are freed of the gatekeeping of music. I think this is a wonderful thing. I've listened to Beethoven for years, but I rarely ever had to dress up for it. Feel me? The point I hope one gets from this, we are too lucky to not go crazy with the resources that we have and to indulge our curiosity and open-mindedness. I wouldn't trade that for a life in an older generation. No way.